Hey there. You wanted a deep dive on Arthur Blank, and to be honest, I'm pretty pumped to dig into this one. I mean, everyone knows the Home Depot story,
Yeah.
but there's way more to this guy. We're talking sports teams, massive philanthropy, like crazy amounts of giving, and even a little peek into his personal life stuff you definitely wouldn't find just Googling him.
Yeah, it's true. Arthur Blank's story goes way beyond those orange aprons. The guy's a builder in every sense of the word, and today we're going to unpack what makes him tick.
Love it. So let's rewind to the early 60s. Arthur Blank, fresh out of Babson College, kicks off his career. Now picture this.
Yeah.
Not as a retail whiz, not as a power tool salesman,
Yeah.
but as an accountant.
It's actually a detail you could easily miss in all the Home Depot hype, but it's telling.
How so?
Think about it, that accounting background. It's pure analytical brainpower. Understanding the language of numbers before they become retail dominance, that's foundational.
Okay, I see it, but wait, it gets even more interesting. He goes from crunching numbers to the Dale Incorporation, climbs the ladder, becomes president of not one, but two of their chains, Elliott's drugstores and Stripe discount stores.
Now that tells me something right there.
What's that?
This is not someone who's content just playing it safe. There's ambition there, a drive to lead, to really shape things. And that brings us to, well, it sets the stage perfectly for what happens next. Handy Dan, remember that name?
Vaguely like the thing before Home Depot, right?
Exactly. And this is where it gets really good. Blank and his future Home Depot partner, Bernie Marcus, they were both fired from Handy Dan back in '78. Some kind of internal power struggle, I guess.
Okay, hold up. Getting fired, that's usually a setback. Right?
Yeah.
You're making it sound like the best thing that ever happened to them.
Sometimes it works out that way.
So what was it about that experience that flipped the script for them?
Think about it. The sting of being let go, not just from a job, but from an industry you're clearly good at. Some people might crumble, but Blank and Marcus, they used it as fuel.
So they took that experience, that fire in their bellies, and then what?
They took that experience and they had this vision for a different kind of home improvement store. Massive selection, warehouse-style shopping, catering to everyone from the DIY weekend warrior to the seasoned contractor. And boom, Home Depot was born.
And it wasn't just any store opening, right? Those first two Home Depots in Atlanta back in '79, they were practically revolutionary.
Yeah.
So how did Blank's role, first as president, later as CEO, how did that shape those early days? Did they know they were onto something huge, or was it all a happy accident?
It's one thing to have a concept on paper, but turning it into a retail empire, that takes something else. Blank's leadership, that shared vision with Marcus, they tapped into something huge. It wasn't just meeting a demand, they created a whole new way of thinking about home improvement.
And let's be real, becoming billionaires in the process probably didn't hurt either.
Definitely helps cement their place in retail history, you could say that.
Okay, so we've got the Home Depot story, but here's the thing about Arthur Blank. This guy does not just rest on his laurels, even with billions rolling in. He retires from Home Depot in 2001, and what does he do a year later? Buys the Atlanta Falcons.
And let's not forget, the Falcons weren't exactly known for their winning streak at that point.
To put it lightly, right?
Exactly.
Right.
This was not a vanity purchase. This was about taking on a challenge, rebuilding, revitalizing.
It's like he can't resist a good turnaround story.
It tells me Blank isn't just driven by profits. There's a deeper desire to lead, to inspire, to make a mark.
And it wasn't just the Falcons, right?
Yeah.
He scoops up the Arena Football League team, the Georgia Force around the same time. And get this, he even tried to buy the Atlanta Braves at one point.
There's a definite pattern here.
So what's the common thread? What's he drawn to?
Arthur Blank is drawn to the energy of sports. It's about community shared passion. And let's not forget the connection to his adopted city, Atlanta.
He could have invested anywhere, but he chose to be a part of Atlanta.
Absolutely. And that brings us to another grand Atlanta venture, Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
Yeah, I know you're thinking, it's just a stadium. But trust me, on this one, this place is next level. And not just because of the fancy food and giant screens, though. There's plenty of that, too.
Oh, yeah, calling it just a stadium, that's an understatement. Mercedes-Benz Stadium, home to the Falcons and Atlanta United FC. It's a testament to Blank's vision and that commitment to Atlanta we were talking about.
Okay, so break it down for me. What makes it so special? We're talking more than just luxury suites and jumbotrons.
Those are there, of course, but this stadium, it's different. Designed with sustainability in mind, recycled materials, energy-efficient systems. Plus, it's plugged into the community big time. Programs to support local businesses create opportunities for Atlanta residents.
So it's bigger than just game day. Blank's thinking about the long game, the ripple effect on the whole city. Speaking of impact, can we talk philanthropy? because Arthur Blank's level of giving through the Arthur Blank Family Foundation, it's honestly kind of mind-blowing.
What gets me is the breadth of it, you know? It's not just about slapping his name on a building. We're talking strategic, wide-ranging support for things he clearly cares about. Education, green spaces in underserved communities. And when disaster strikes, forget about it.
Right, like during COVID. His foundation donated almost $5.4 million to organizations on the front lines in Georgia and Montana. That's putting your money where your mouth is.
Absolutely, recognizing the urgency and taking action. But even beyond those immediate needs, you see this incredible commitment to children's health care.
Yeah, that $200 million donation to Children's Healthcare of Atlanta, that's not just writing a check, that's making a statement.
Exactly.
And that led to the Arthur M. Blank Hospital. Brand new facility set to open next year. Talk about a legacy.
Speaking of legacy, we have to mention the Giving Pledge.
Oh yeah, that's right.
This is where Blank joins the ranks of other incredibly successful people who've pledged to donate at least 50% of their wealth to charity, either during their lifetime or in their wills.
That's next level generosity.
It's about changing how we think about wealth and using it as a force for good.
And it's clear that this idea really resonates with Arthur Blank. So we've talked about the business side, the philanthropy, but I know what everyone's wondering. What about the man behind the curtain? What about Arthur Blank, the person?
Well, it's important to remember, even with all the success of Arthur Blank's human, he's had his ups and downs in his personal life, 3 marriages, 6 children, and it's not about digging for gossip. It's about recognizing that everyone, even titans of industry, they have these personal stories that shape who they are.
Absolutely. And on a more personal note, back in 2016, Blank faced his own health battle, prostate cancer diagnosis.
Scary stuff.
Thankfully, he announced he was cancer-free after treatment. But it's a reminder that these experiences, the good and the bad, they're all part of the journey.
They shape you.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here, from accountant to Home Depot co-founder, sports enthusiast, philanthropist. What stands out to you as the most remarkable thing about Arthur Blank?
It's tough to pick just one thing, you know? But I think what gets me is this idea of conscious capitalism. The guy's a brilliant businessman, no question. But he also seems to get it, you know? The responsibility that comes with that kind of success. It's not just about building companies. It's about building a legacy.
And that really comes through, doesn't it? Whether we're talking Home Depot, the Falcons, Atlanta United, or his philanthropy, there's this constant thread of wanting to do things right, wanting to make a real difference.
100%. And that's what makes Arthur Blank's story so interesting. It reminds us that success isn't just about you. It's about the impact you have on the world.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So as we wrap up this deep dive on Arthur Blank, I'm kind of left wondering what's next. This is a guy who clearly loves a challenge. Will he buy another sports team?
Yeah.
Will his foundation tackle even bigger issues? Feels like this story's far from over.
Now, that is the question, isn't it? It's exciting to think about what he'll take on next and what kind of impact he'll have. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us.
Absolutely.